In nature, every confrontation begins with a distance maintained and gradually shortened step by step. Wolves don't charge immediately. They maintain rhythm, pressure direction, and force their opponent to react constantly. From grasslands to dense forests, and then to icy regions. Pressure is maintained, space is narrowed, and discrepancies begin to appear. And when the rhythm is no longer maintained, the balance immediately shifts, directly leading to the outcome of the confrontation. In the open environment, wolves maintain their hunting instincts by moving in formations and maintaining tight control of distance. They don't charge in immediately, but observe, track, and wait for the right moment to close the gap. The wolf's strength lies not in a single individual, but in their ability to coordinate and maintain a common rhythm throughout the approach. As the distance shortens, each individual begins to adjust their position to create pressure from multiple directions. The goal is not to attack immediately, but to gradually reduce the prey's mobility. In nature, a wolf's hunt is determined by patience and the ability to control the entire space surrounding the target. In the vast grasslands, bison move slowly and maintain close proximity to stay together. When danger is detected, they quickly form a circle, heads facing outward, with the calf at the center. This structure helps stabilize the situation and maintain a defensive rhythm. However, the longer this state lasts, the more apparent the pressure builds. While the formation remains stable, wolves appear at the edges, monitoring every subtle change. They don't charge immediately but maintain distance, forcing the bison to remain constantly on the defensive. Then, the wolves begin controlled harassment, closing in and then withdrawing, causing the herd to shift and gradually lose their synchronicity. The rhythm of movement begins to deviate from its original state. Weakness is revealed when a young animal loses its footing and separates from the protective circle for even a brief moment. The wolves immediately focus all their attention on this target and maintain constant pressure. Without the support of the pack, the isolated individual quickly loses its ability to maintain its position. The outcome is determined the moment the distance is no longer maintained. Looking back at the entire sequence of events, the outcome was already predetermined. As the formation is pulled apart, the ability to defend itself diminishes step by step. The sequence is clear: maintaining pressure, breaking down the structure, then isolating the target. This is a confrontation between one side maintaining the organization and the other constantly breaking down the organization. In the jungle, wild boars typically maintain distance by making short, rapid turns and constantly changing direction when threatened. They turn directly and use their fangs to control the approach area. These short but powerful reactions help them maintain distance in close-range situations. However, when forced to constantly turn, their control becomes disrupted. While the wild boar maintains its movement rhythm, wolves begin to form a group and approach from multiple directions. One individual advances to draw attention, while others approach from the flanks and rear. They strike quickly and retreat, repeating this rhythm to force the wild boar to react continuously and gradually lose its stability. The change becomes apparent when the wild boar can no longer maintain its initial turning rhythm. Each reaction consumes more energy, while the wolves maintain distance and continue the approach cycle. As speed decreases, the distance narrows, and the outcome is determined in a short time. Caribou maintain their safety by moving in large packs and keeping a steady pace on long journeys. The dense formation allows individuals to support each other, minimizing the risk of separation. As long as the pace remains stable, the entire pack operates almost as a unified whole, but even a small change can cause gaps to appear in this connection. From a distance, wolves observe with a low pace to conserve energy. When the distance is reduced, they suddenly accelerate, creating pressure that causes the pack to disperse and lose its rhythm. Wolves don't attack indiscriminately, but choose a slow individual, usually a young or weak one, and then pursue that single target. Rough terrain disrupts the pack's formation. A young one stumbles, and the mother's call doesn't change the course of events. The distance continues to shorten. The wolves maintain constant pressure, forcing the target to lose its ability to maintain its pace. When completely isolated, the outcome is determined in a very short time. The advantage of the herd no longer exists once the formation has been broken. Looking back at the preceding sequence of movements, the outcome was determined from the moment the formation began to fracture. Once cohesion is broken, the ability to defend is no longer maintained. The events unfold in a clear sequence: separation of the herd, isolation, and then a swift conclusion. This strategy relies on controlling the pace of movement and maintaining pressure on a single target. In the cold tundra, musk oxen maintain close proximity and react immediately to threat. They quickly form a circle, heads facing outward, horns always ready. The young are kept in the center, the safest part of the pack. When the formation remains intact, the defensive posture is maintained for an extended period. While the formation is still intact, wolves approach from a distance and observe. They don't charge immediately but maintain distance, creating pressure that forces the musk oxen to maintain a constant defensive posture. Then, the wolves begin controlled harassment, closing in and then withdrawing, forcing the pack to shift positions repeatedly. The rhythm of the defense gradually shifts as stability is no longer maintained. The turning point occurs when an individual can no longer hold its position and is separated from the protective circle. The wolves immediately focus on this target and maintain pressure in an alternating rhythm. Repeated approaches cause the target to rapidly exhaust its stamina. The outcome is determined when the isolated individual is no longer able to maintain distance. The entire outcome is decided not in a single moment, but through a series of stages that weaken its defensive capabilities. While maintaining its structure, the muskox is almost impossible to approach. But once separated, the situation shifts to a prolonged physical confrontation. The sequence is clear: maintain pressure, disrupt formation, then isolate the target. In the deep snow, the bull elk maintains a slow pace and distance to control its surroundings. When threatened, it turns directly and maintains a clear direction, limiting its approach angles. Its large antlers help control close range, forcing its opponent to keep a safe distance. But when terrain and pressure appear simultaneously, the pace of movement begins to stretch. While the pace remains stable, wolves appear at the edge and monitor every subtle change. They spread out to encircle the elk, then gradually increase the pressure, causing the pack to become disorganized. When an individual is separated from the pack, the pursuit pace increases significantly and the distance quickly shortens. The decisive moment occurs when the separated individual can no longer maintain distance from the pack. The wolves approach in short, repeated bursts to gradually slow their target down over time. On the snow, each change of direction depletes stamina, and the outcome is determined when the distance closes. The entire result doesn't come in a single moment, but accumulates through a gradual reduction in mobility. The wolf maintains steady pressure, forcing the target to decline step by step instead of ending the fight immediately. While maintaining its rhythm, the bull elk retains control of the situation. When pulled aside and isolated, the advantage shifts decisively to the wolf. In open spaces, rabbits typically maintain distance by reacting immediately to small movements. Upon sensing danger, they accelerate instantly and change direction frequently to avoid being cornered. Their ability to detect movement allows them to react early before being cornered, but as escape space narrows, the advantage of changing direction begins to diminish. When movement is detected, wolves maintain distance and begin tracking the target's direction of travel. One group pursues, while others cut across the target's path, gradually narrowing escape routes. They accelerate in short bursts, maintaining pressure in multiple directions, forcing rabbits to change direction constantly and gradually losing their evasive space. The clear shift begins when rabbits no longer have enough space to continue changing direction. The distance shortens rapidly, and the target no longer has enough space to adjust. The outcome is determined in a short time, as reaction speed can no longer keep up with the pressure of the pursuit. In icy regions, the wolf reacts to threat by maintaining its position and closely monitoring the approaching enemy. Upon detecting an approach, it doesn't move but remains in place, focusing on the enemy's movements. Its strong teeth and sharp claws allow it to control close-range engagements with consistent intensity. However, when pressure emerges from multiple directions, this stability begins to be challenged. While maintaining distance, the wolf approaches slowly and begins to probe cautiously. Upon detection, the wolf charges forward, maintaining a continuous attack rhythm to halt the approach. The wolf reacts by retreating briefly, then approaches again from multiple directions but fails to maintain consistent pressure. The clear shift begins when the wolf maintains a continuous attack rhythm at very close range. The wolf maintains high intensity, forcing the wolf to react intermittently and gradually show hesitation. The outcome was determined when the wolves retreated, no longer maintaining contact due to increased risk. No confrontation ends instantly. Everything builds over time. The wolf sets the pace, dictates direction, and forces the opponent to wear itself down little by little. When the ability to sustain is gone, distance disappears, and pressure becomes absolute. That's how the hunt concludes, not by sheer strength, but by controlling the entire course of events. In the North American wilderness, grizzly bears are not just survivors, but embodiments of strategy and endurance. They don't act rashly, but attack with patience, calculation, and precise choices. Every step, every confrontation holds a lesson about the natural order and the limits of instinct. Grizzly bears are a quintessential image of the North American wilderness. An adult can weigh over 1,000 pounds and stand up to 8 feet tall, living scattered from rainforests to riverine areas. They can move at speeds up to 35 miles per hour, but their strength and speed aren't the only factors. Grizzly bears are typical omnivores, from fruit and salmon to carrion, with a sense of smell sensitive enough to detect scents from miles across the forest. They don't live in fixed herds, nor do they aggressively claim territory. Grizzly bears generally keep their distance from other bears to avoid conflict, except during the breeding season or when caring for their young. These are also the times when clashes are most likely to occur. Grizzly bears are both a testament to muscular strength and a display of instinctive control. In the natural world, where the chance of survival always comes with the risk of death, grizzly bears survive thanks to a balance between intuition, strength, and flexible adaptation. In the reed-covered swamplands, moose stand like living fortresses. Their average shoulder height exceeds 6 feet, and they weigh up to 1,500 pounds. Their antlers, up to 6 feet wide, serve both as a defense mechanism and a symbol of dominance during the breeding season. Faced with such a target, the grizzly bear doesn't act rashly. It silently tracks the footprints in the mud, carefully sniffing out any lingering scent. If it detects a young or pregnant individual, the bear meticulously plans, cornering the prey in shallow, muddy water where its footing is easily lost. The space gradually narrows. Before the moose can react, it's led to a disadvantageous position. The bear maintains its distance, patiently observing every movement. Only when the moose's feet begin to slip in the mud does the bear make its decisive move.
Look, he's got him.
Water splashes up in a white spray. The moose struggled in the mud, but the bear maintained its stamina. Taking advantage of the terrain and timing, it gradually exhausted its prey. The fight didn't require recklessness, just patience, endurance, and a little advantage from nature. Grizzly wolves are highly organized animals, living in packs of 6 to over 20 individuals, renowned for their coordination and role-playing when hunting. They move nimbly, using encirclement and distraction tactics to overwhelm larger prey. However, when facing a lone grizzly bear, superior in strength and size, caution is still essential. In many cases, bears don't actively seek out wolves. However, when food interests intersect, such as carcasses or foraging grounds, conflict arises. The bear doesn't charge immediately, but walks slowly, raising itself higher, forcing the wolf to retreat with its overwhelming presence. The wolf pack attempts to encircle, spreading out in multiple directions to distract. One wolf approaches to draw attention, while others look for opportunities to approach from the flank. But the bear's muscular strength and double its weight create an insurmountable wall.
It has advantages. It's not as sharp.
Once the bears have reached their food source, their powerful claw strikes are enough to force the entire pack to retreat. Despite their numbers, the wolves rarely dare to engage in a direct confrontation. In this battle, the pack's tactics are no match for the bear's overwhelming physical superiority. On the vast savanna, elk move in herds for protection and survival. A mature male can weigh up to 700 pounds, possessing long, curved antlers like giant branches, and can run over 35 miles per hour in short bursts. Faced with such agility, the grizzly bear is not in a hurry. It silently follows the herd, patiently analyzing each individual. Only when it detects an individual that is weak, old, injured, or slowing down does the bear begin to approach. Not by brute force, but by selectivity. When the herd moves through a slope or near the edge of a stream, the bear waits for the moment its prey stumbles or loses its balance. It lunges from the side, a position where its antlers cannot reach. Elk struggles to rejoin the herd, but each step of the bear presses down. Dust is kicked up in bursts. This hunt is not measured by speed, but by persistence. And when the elk is exhausted, the bear doesn't need any more pounces because victory has been secured the moment it chooses the right timing. A mature male grizzly bear can control a territory spanning tens of square kilometers, containing food sources, wintering grounds, and mating opportunities. But that territory isn't always peaceful. When an intruder appears, conflict becomes inevitable. The bears don't immediately charge. Instead, they circle, emitting low growls to assert their dominance. They stand facing each other, rearing up, clawing at the ground, sending a clear signal. This territory is claimed. The goal isn't destruction, but establishing order. The clash can end in minutes when one side backs down. The victor retains the territory. The loser is forced to retreat, leaving behind a scent as an acknowledgement. In the open forest, even a small movement can awaken dormant predatory instincts. Deer, agile and alert, usually rely on their hearing and speed. But for a grizzly bear, just a small opening is enough to trigger action. The bear doesn't chase immediately. It silently approaches from the downwind side, using the canopy and low terrain to conceal its footsteps. When the distance is close enough, a sudden, full-body lunge is launched not to kill instantly, but to force the prey into a state of panic. The deer immediately springs up, darting through the bushes. But the bear doesn't need speed. It follows step by step, steadily and persistently. A slip, a log blocking the path, just one mistake, and the balance tips sharply in favor of the predator. The outcome doesn't always favor the bear, but in each chase, what is tested is not just endurance, but the limits of survival between two creatures that live based on instinct. As summer arrives, salmon begin their arduous journey upstream to spawn, traversing miles of rapids and strong currents. Averagely 30 inches in size and weighing 10 pounds, salmon are a rich source of fat, providing grizzly bears with the energy they need for the coming winter. The bears don't wait for the fish to jump ashore. They strategically choose locations where the water is shallow and the current is strong, or just before the waterfalls, where the fish tend to slow down. Their eyes are constantly watching, registering every movement underwater. When the time comes, a precise kick sends the fish flying out of the water. There's no need to rush. With keen instincts and almost instantaneous reflexes, the bears process each prey efficiently. Each hunt lasts only a few seconds, but involves dozens of missed attempts beforehand. Amidst the lapping water and the pungent smell of the fish, the grizzly bear becomes part of the river. This wasn't just a summer party, but a lesson in survival. Patience, timing, and adaptability are what separate well-being from starvation. Grizzlies don't seek dominance, but rather a balance between strength and instinct. Each hunt, each conflict, is a reminder of the rules of survival in the harsh natural world. They aren't the fastest, nor are they always the strongest, but they are always the most resilient. In the deep forest, sometimes just one well-timed move can decide an entire season of survival.